Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today's occasion marks another milestone in the story of the labor sector, particularly the overseas workers. The Honorable Interim Minister of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao is supposed to be with you today, but because of equally important appointment which was early arranged, he cannot be with you today. Instead, this representation as newly appointed Minister of the Ministry of Labor and Employment, or MOLI, was requested to represent him and at the same time your guest speaker. It must be recalled that by virtue of Republic Act 11054, otherwise known as the Bangsamoro Organic Law, the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, or ERMM, was deemed abolished. So much to its ratification in January this year. However, pending the passage and approval of the Administrative Code, the Bangsamoro Administrative Code of the present dispensations of power still operates under the structure and budget of the defunct ERMM. So sabayan, namin pa sa 2019 na niya, na niyapang budget no Bangsamoro Autonomous Region and Muslim Mindanao, gusto structure na siya pang kano structure no ERMM pa kano 2019. Kaya after, so mapasa dito, so 2020, ma-approve structure na yan, inshallah na, bago na ni budgeting sa 2020, bago na ni structure ng Bangsamoro Autonomous Government. One very important features of the BOL is the grant of fiscal autonomy to the government, not to mention also the block grant afforded to it. That means, unlike before, with the ERMM, the various agencies of the farm will no longer lobby for the approval of each budget in both houses of Congress. But it will just be heard and approved by the Bangsamoro Transition Authority or the Parliament by the regular BARM. Such a scenario and political development is considered one big step towards the Bangsamoro aspiration of its right to serve determination. Upon assumption to office, early a week ago, I called the senior staff of the then DOLI, now MOLI, for a briefing session, and I realized that contrary very small. It is a big office after all. I also realized that I was right when, even prior to my assumption to office, I facilitated the conduct of the formulations of the new MOLI structure we have already submitted to the Office of the Interim Chief Ministers for the BTS approval. Hope it will be approved. We thank the Center for Humanitarian Dialogue for the assistance. When that will be approved, it will expand the functions of MOLI because we have maximized the expansions based on the powers enumerated in the Bangsamoro Organic Law. The proposed structure will address the problem not only that of our OFWs, but including the local workers. The relationship between the management and workers will also strengthen. It will have five bureaus which will cater to admin and finance, planning, information management and research, regulatory protections and promotion, labor relations, mediations and arbitration, and employment, promotion, occupations, and manpower development. There are several functions mandated to the office which were not granted to the DOLI then, but hopefully under the new entity, or these functions, especially those inherent and expanded functions, will be properly executed. As the new head of the MOLI, who is mandated to ensure the implementations of labor, employment and occupations, policies, programs, and activities. I am here to assure everyone that I will directly and closely supervise the activities of the agency. Particularly, I want a mechanism to monitor the overseas workers sectors of the Bangsamoro regions who are often victims of maltreatment by their overseas employers, are in need of our attention and protection. For this months of time, I have noticed in the social media that there are many of the OFW, specifically women from the Bangsamoro region, who were abused physically and psychologically by their employers. These issues are some of our priorities that we wanted to address. It is our utmost concern to give awareness to the applicants abroad. The issues and concerns they might confront and their rights that they possess when they enter the place of their assignment. In other words, aside from the national program provided the national government for the departures of the Bangsamoro overseas workers, we also wanted to strengthen these programs by giving them a pre-departures orientations and placing them to a status of requirements ready before going to Manila. Aside from this end, we also want to provide skills training and livelihood programs to the Balikbayan overseas Filipino worker, job creation to the interagency coordinations. For example, we can coordinate to a concerned agency regards to what sector of workers are needed to fill the demand of the labor industry. That would be our utmost concern, skills training. The fair today, which is awarding of check to beneficiaries of the Balik Pinas Balik Hanap Buhay program. Social benefits programs and education training program is one of the affairs that we all wanted to continue advocate. We wanted to strengthen the relationship of the Bangsamoro government and our overseas Filipino workers, particularly the Balikbayan, who wish to stay for good rather going back to abroad. If possible, we can offer them good deal like skills training and livelihood programs for them to stay and be with their families up close. It is indeed crucial to the foundations of the Bangsamoro government, the foundations of every home, and that is the foundations of every Bangsamoro family. The basic governance starts from everyone's home. If a home is incomplete, naturally, we cannot call it as home, and the good governance hereof is most likely not achieved. Imagine if most of the relationship of the Bangsamoro family is strained and broken, caused by working abroad of anybody from the family member. There will be no good society to speak. It is my aim to see our Balikbayan, or particularly the Bangsamoro overseas worker, be with their families all the time. Moli, as its sponsoring function, will exert our efforts to find a way home to our overseas workers. It means we will create a place for the overseas worker. We can create more activities like the affair we are doing today. We can even create more programs to attract our overseas workers to stay and in the pursuit of an aim of a complete family which will lead us to a better society and later on a good governance. In this latter way, our overseas workers may feel their belongingness, that they are also part of our struggle and victory, that they are also part of us aiming that one day our region, the Bangsamoro region, become a best place to live. By the coming days, we plan to conduct strategic planning workshop on preparation for 2020 budget and plans implementation for the considerations of the Bangsamoro Transition Authority. We hope to come up with this plan before the deliberations of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region and Muslim Mindanao budget. Finally, I am glad for the invitation as your guest speaker, and may this light of affair be continued and strengthened. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala